here talking with Mr. James Coble, and Mr. Coble is a great-grandson of A.L. Coble, who carved his name in the rock at the 1913 reunion. And I was hoping, Mr. Coble, if you could give us kind of a rundown on the story of your great-grandfather.
Okay, he was born in 1843 in Orange County, which became Alamance County in 1849, North Carolina. He was drafted with his brother in June of 1862 for the war, and they served together until May of 1863 when his brother Henry was discharged for being sick. They had an older brother, John, who was a lieutenant in the Home Guards. Some of the papers say 48th North Carolina Militia, some say Home Guard, and some say 48th North Carolina troops. They had another brother, Emsley, a younger brother, Emsley, and Shaddy, who were not in the Army yet. Right after the Battle of Chancellorsville, Henry was discharged for being sick and was sent home. And Augustus was with the 1st North Carolina State Troops, Company E, him and Henry. Well, he came up here to Gettysburg. He was with Ewell's Corps there and fought here in July. Made it through the battle, lived through that. Early in 1864, his younger brother Emsley was conscripted or volunteered, I think he was drafted, to come in, and the two of them were captured in May of 1864 at Spotsylvania Courthouse in Virginia, sent to Point Lookout, Maryland, then transferred to Elmira, New York, where they stayed till the war ended. Their youngest brother, Shaddy, entered in the Army, I think in the 2nd North Carolina Infantry, late in '64. He was shot in the hip at Petersburg, Virginia, and captured just before the Appomattox, maybe 3-4 weeks before. John, their oldest brother, who was the lieutenant, he stayed home, helped make shoes for the Army, so he got out of doing a lot of the fighting. And then Henry, the one that was discharged earlier, he was put back in the state service in the 53rd Infantry, Company F, Aldous, North Carolina. And he served out through the end of the war and was surrendered at Appomattox. On his way home, him and several, I guess, that went with him were given a rifle for protection on the way home. So a family member currently owns that rifle that they brought home. After they got it home, they were supposed to turn them in sometime later, and Uncle John told them that they were coming to collect them to have it, and don't know if he warned him to hide it or warned him that they were coming, but Uncle Henry hid it, and the family still owns that rifle. My great-grandfather Augustus, I have his rifle, but it's one he purchased after the war. Apparently he purchased a lot of artifacts. I have a drum that he bought sometime after, an artilleryman's sponge bucket, and a few little odds and ends pieces around from the war. And then in 1913, he came up here to Gettysburg for the 50-year reunion with my grandfather, Jim Henry Coble, and his brother, Lucian Graves Coble. And when they got here, according to my uncle, when they got here, they rented a buggy. I guess they rode the train up, and as they were getting here, he told them that this is where our regiment came in, this is where we fought, and this is where we stayed, and we crossed Rock Creek here, and they went over to the rock over here on Culp's Hill, and my grandfather, Jim Henry, and my Uncle Lucian, they sat down and carved Grandpa's name in the rock, and it says A.L. Coble, 1st NC REG, and that stands for Augustus Lucian Coble, and he was in Company E of the 1st North Carolina State Troops.
Okay, so we're here with James Coble and Virginia Coble, his daughter, and they're going to be talking about the postcard that Virginia is holding. And Mr. Coble, would you give us the story of the postcard that Virginia is holding?
Okay. In 1913, when they came here to the reunion, hold it so he can see it. When they came here, Granddad and then they bought some postcards and stuff. This one was mailed and back home to my great-grandmother, Letitia Caroline Coble. And on the back of it, it says, "This view is not a great distance from where Papa was during the battle." And mailed it home. I found it in some stuff at the house a few years back. The neat thing about it, it is dated July 2nd, 3:30 p.m., 1913, and postmarked Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. So I was going to take part in the 150th reenactment this year, but some health problems prevented it, and come up with the idea of what would really be neat was to come and mail postcards home to my daughters, and we're going to get them postmarked here in a little bit. Today's July 2nd, 2013, so when they get older they will have a postcard dated 1913 and one 100 years later of 2013. And incidentally, this is the day his division attacked Culp's Hill, on the second day of the battle. So I thought that was kind of neat. Nobody else is going to be able to say they could do that.
Are you excited about that, Virginia?
Yeah.
That's going to be pretty cool having those two postcards, isn't it?